I have one layer. Actually, it's not a layer, it's a composition called butterfly, and it contains an animation. So if I scrub the time here, I would see that it's actually animated. And I can take this and animate it independently of its own animation right now. Right? So I can, for example, grab the composition and open its transform, animate the position and the rotation and the scale maybe, and just give it my own animation. So I can rotate it, I can scale it to give it the impression of moving away, and it will still contain its original animation, just like movie clips in Flash. The difference is that here you actually see both at the same time. In Flash you have to preview to see the effect of the movie clip, but here we can see both at the same time. So how do we actually create something like this? This is very important in After Effects. Alright, so I'm gonna start from scratch. I will not do the full butterfly, I'll just do an example, but it's the same concept. So new composition, let's call the composition whatever, butterfly. Alright, and here I can do whatever I like. I can create it the way I want. I can use the pen tool, and let's maximize this view. Drag, 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 click, drag, drag, drag. Alright, here I have no fill, so I will give it, say, a gradient, and go to my gradient and adjust the size and the location. So say something like this. So here, these are the colors that I can increase. So if I want to add a new color, I can click here and choose the color that I like. Anyway, that's now one wing, which I can scale according to the position of the anchor point, which I can place, say, here. Right? So now it scales from here. So what I need to do to create the butterfly effect is animate the scaling. Let's call this wing left, right? So if I expand wing left, go to transform, here both the scales are linked, so I'm gonna unlink, and now I can animate just the X scale. So I'll set a keyframe, I'll move the time, and I'll scale it in. So now it's like this, and all I have to do now is copy the keyframes and paste them over. You can select more than one and copy to speed up the workflow. Alright, so if I press play, it's too slow. So I need to speed it up, but I don't want to repeat the work. How can I decrease the time between the keyframe or scale down the time between the keyframe? I'll select all of them and press Alt on my keyboard, and this will scale the time range of the keyframes. So if I press play, they will run faster. I can do this one more time with an Alt, and then I can copy these and paste them over. And that way, without repeating the animation, the wing will flap faster. So that's wing left. Alright, I can reshape it if I like, if I wanted to, and the animation will still work. So I can go to my path, and I would have access to the points. Here I'm not animating the points, I'm just reshaping them if I wanted to, and if I hit play, the animation will still work. Anyway, now I'm gonna take wing left and press Control D to duplicate it, and I'll call this one wing right or wing R. Alright, and then I'll go to my transform. Now here I'm gonna unlink the scale and take the scaling to a negative value, negative 100 in X. What this will give me is this scale being in the opposite direction. But the problem is that I already animated this, so it has keyframes, and I changed only one. So I cannot really do that. So I'm gonna undo, and let's see another way where we can actually take advantage of what I did. If I go to transform here, if I change the rotation, it changes like this. It doesn't change in 3D. There are many solutions to this problem. Let's try to figure them out. One thing I can do is turn this into a 3D layer. When I turn it into a 3D layer, I can rotate it around any axis I want. Let's see how. To turn a layer into a 3D layer, which is something we'll talk about in more detail next time, I click here, where you have the cube, and now this is a 3D layer. So now you have orientation in X, you have in Y, and you have in Z. In this case, I want to rotate it in Y. How many degrees? 180 degrees, and I have solved my problem. There are other solutions to the problem, but that's the one for today. So let's now continue. I have the two wings. I will create a new shape that's going to be the body, so I'll do it very fast. Click, drag, drag, click, drag, click, drag, and click. So very fast. I'll just put it here. And maybe below the other wings, I'll call this, say, body. And then I'll probably create antennas for it. So I would use my pen tool with no fill, right? With just a stroke. Click, drag, drag, click. And there you go, it's done. Now, I need to change the position and the anchor point. So I'm going to go here to the pan behind tool, and I'll bring the anchor point, say, to the center of the head. This is not animated, so I can actually flip it in scale. Let's rename this to antenna left. All right, Control D, and this is antenna right. And I'll go to transform, scale, and unlink the two values and set this to, I didn't move the anchor point, doesn't matter. I'll just move it now. And set the scale to -100. All right. So now I did all this because I want all this to be just one layer as one composition. How can I do this? I select all my layers like this, and I go to layer and pre-compose. When I do this, all of these layers will be put inside one composition, which I will call, let's say, butterfly. Let's say 1, and press OK, and make sure that move all attributes into the new composition is on. And now I have my butterfly, which is animated, and all I have to do now is animate its transform in position, rotation, and scale. Next time we're going to see how we can duplicate this, not manually, but using a particle system in After Effects, and have the swarm of flies burst out randomly. But the very important thing now is using pre-compositions to combine different layers into one composition and animate that individually.